Hello, my beautiful people. So, it's almost the end of Imbolc, the day Imbolc. It's a season in the Celtic wheel. It's like a 7-day thing, so we still do more stuff. Poured my milk out. I I had a really great day, and I was asked to speak at a local Lions Club about the Appalachian Trail, which is really awesome, to talk about hiking and the trail and the community and all the things that we do. I always see the lion signs when you like drive into a town and you see like the lions sign. But I never knew what they did. They're like this huge service organization of people who do this amazing service. Like I had absolutely no idea. And it's international. There are Scottish lions and Irish lions and British lions and Spanish lions and Mexican lions and Canadian lions. And one of the things that I learned is that um, they were started in like 1912 or something like that, in Chicago, and it was a service organization that did service for the community that was free of any political affiliation and free of any religious affiliation. Like that. Gotta say it like that. And they do service, and the first thing that they did service for, Helen Keller went to talk to them to ask them to help out with the deaf and the blind or the deaf, maybe both, blind and the deaf. She was blind and deaf. And if you've been watching the channel and you've been playing with the playbook, you know that when other little girls wanted to be Wonder Woman back when I was little, I didn't. I wanted to be Annie Sullivan, who was Helen Keller's teacher. And so I learned to sign, and I learned Braille because I was obsessed and I wanted to be Annie Sullivan. So, like, I'm listening to this speech, and I'm like listening to it was their business meeting, and I was the speaker, but I got to, like hang out with them. And I mean, I've heard of them, but I just, like, I don't know if I thought they were part of the Masons, or I don't think I ever knew what they do, but I know this group because I play the bagpipes for them every year. They do this amazing breast cancer walk and celebration and honoring the warriors and remembering those who didn't make it. And I play the pipes for that every year. I wear my feather boa. I have a hot pink feather boa, and I wear that every year, and I do that for them. Because if you go by the playbook, you know that I've had some scares. So I'm very committed to the breast cancer awareness, the mammogram awareness program, and also championing our heroes, right? So I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, Bridget, you're so funny. You're so funny, because I've been thinking about the things that I need to let go. I've been very involved in the trail, and I'm just not feeling it right now. Like, I'm just not feeling the trail right now. So I get asked to do this talk about the trail, right? While I'm driving home, I'm on a board of the Appalachian Long Distance Hiker Association. Another member of the board who I love calls me and asks me an English question. And my friend Nav sends me a thing and says, our other buddy, who we hike with, it's like, there's a group of girls that hike together, that we really, really like, and they decided they're going to go out on Saturday and go hiking at this awesome park that I used to hike at when I lived in New Jersey. And I'm like, okay, Spirit, okay, Bridget, I get it. You're trying to get me out on the trail, making sure I don't lose that connection. You want me to know about these other organizations that sort of are like, I don't know how to say it, like a super helper organization. Like, I do a ton of volunteer work, ton. Red Cross is like a bigger piece, that's a bigger organization, but I do a ton of volunteer work. And Spirit's like, oh, here's this group that they have all of that under, except Red Cross, of course, all of that's under one umbrella. So you could be with this group and then help out all these things, and instead of doing this and this and this and this and this. Okay, Bridget. Okay, Spirit. I'm hearing you. And their motto, which I love, their mission and their motto is to serve. That's it. It's not like, it's not all political and all that stuff. It's to serve. And that's, I feel like, my personal mission. Like, if I had a mission statement, it would be to serve. If you go through higher educational leadership courses and stuff, and you do this whole thing about your leadership style, I'm a servant leader. That is the kind of leader that I am. Like, I identify with that on so many levels. It isn't about me. It's about your team. Like, how do you make them shine? How do you help them to be all that they can be? How can you be of service? Obviously, Jesus was a servant leader, right? People that I'm drawn to are servant leaders, people with no ego. I'm not about ego at all. And I work in spaces with a lot of people. When I was at MIT, like, the egos, huge egos. And, but fortunately I can operate in those spaces because I don't have one. So, I chuckle and I just kind of write it off and I don't get upset about it. But when I think about people that I don't want to be around, people whose energy I don't want to be around, 99% of it is because they have an ego, and I don't want to be in that energetic space. So, Bridget, Spirit, don't think I didn't notice what you were doing today. Let's ask for a rune as we end this in bulk day. See what Bridget and Spirit have to say to us. So funny. The synchronicities were so, they were like, Bridget's like, yeah, what was that about you not going outside and hiking and being in nature? What was that nonsense I heard from you? That you're like, nah, maybe that'll be the thing I give up. No. That's not the thing you're giving up. You have to organize your time better. I mean, I'm really organized with my time. Usually. Although I will say, like, in the past, maybe 6 months, I feel a little bit, not spinning out of control, but like yesterday's stone is really just kind of get it all together, like get it all organized better. And my son's upcoming surgery, like, I'm putting the brakes on all of it. And in some ways that's a little bit liberating, to be honest, because I don't, I always have something going on. I'm always doing something, and I've always been like that. Like, people think I'm busy now. I am at 25% capacity. What I was like when I was in my 30s. I taught a million classes. I did a ton of stuff with my students because I was a teaching professor back then. And, I drove students down to Georgia. I took this group of students to this Indian reservation, Native American reservation. I did this, I did that. I was going here, going there, doing this, doing that. I'm at 25% capacity now. And I don't want to slow down because I feel like, people are always like, why are you so busy? And the reason I give is that my mom, who is a genius, she never left the house. Like, she was so smart, but she never left the house because, I don't know why she never left the house, to be honest. Like, I don't know what the reason was, really. She got more involved in things when she was in her 50s, but, like, she was just like, she just sat on the couch and watched TV, and I didn't want to be like that. But I don't think that's entirely the reason. I think part of it is, if you understand the story of my son's birth, like, I was bleeding internally and I was dying as well. And so, I just feel like I need to give back, for that miracle that was bestowed upon me. But I've been busy my whole life, so that predates Julian's birth. I don't know. I guess even as a child, I always realized that, you only get one shot at this rodeo. So do what you can. So in a way, I feel like I'm probably an old soul. And then I know that you only have a limited amount of time here. So you should cram as much coolness as you can into it. But I think too, you have to savor things sometimes. Like, if you ever go to like a really fancy restaurant and you get an amazing plate of food and you're like, and you eat it all and like you didn't taste a thing, like, that isn't how life should be. It should be savoring these moments. And like, I had another commitment on Saturday and I might not get back for it. So I had to like sit down and say, like, what is more valuable to me? What is for my highest good? Is it going hiking with Nav and, I can't remember her trail name. I want to call her Wine Box, but that's not her trail name, but that's what I want it to be. So do I want to go hiking with Wine Box and Nav? Is that my higher good, or do I want to go to this thing at the Standing Stones place, where there's a lot of ego? Spirit, Bridget are like, really? Are you asking us this? You know the answer to that. So, going hiking. So let's see what other pearl of wisdom at 11:56 on Imbolc St. Bridget's Day. Let's see what else St. Bridget has for us. Just pulling one, St. Bridget. Let's just spit a whole bunch out of this bag. Pick one. I love St. Bridget, and I love Spirit. Gibo, gift. Life is a gift, right? We make the most of the time we have here. I'm sitting and I'm watching, in the Lions Club, a lot of these, like, I think about this when I play at, like, the American Legion and the VFW. These clubs and things, their members are, like, over 65. Right? Like there was one other person there that was my age. She was actually from a different Lions Club. But they're aging out. And I think that at the VFW too, like, even my husband who served in combat, he said, and this is so true, back when those were built, they were built because when they went to World War II, for example, all the boys in the neighborhood went together somewhere overseas, Germany, whatever, and then they came back together. And so you could say, hey, I'm going to go with Charlie, we're going to go down to the VFW, and that was their sort of PTSD, like, therapy, right? And they did things as families, but they all had the same experience. But like when my husband was in, like, he went out, and then of course he made friends in the Army, and he had friends overseas, but they were like, this one was from the same place that Radar is from, on MASH. There's one guy from that place, and a guy from California, and then another guy from New England. They didn't go back to the same places. And so a place like the VFW didn't ever resonate with Dave because nobody that he knew, goes to that VFW. So, it's sad we're seeing all these VFWs and American Legions closing, but we do know that soldiers need that support, right? So the same is true with these sort of clubs and things that exist, these service clubs. They're aging out because younger people, Gen X, my generation, Gen X, we're a little bit apathetic, so we don't join stuff like that. And then the younger generations, they have social media, so they don't join clubs. They don't need to go see a person in person, to get edification or support or whatever. So I don't know. Like, I think it's a little bit sad, but this particular group, they like do so much, and I was super impressed with them. And then I'm thinking to myself, I don't have time for another thing. And spirits in my ear, like, well, it's one thing that kind of covers a lot of things. So if you did that, then you could let go of these things, but you'd still feel like you were helping and being of service. So I have to think about that more. Obviously not a thing I'm going to decide today, because I'm not making any sudden moves before my son's surgery. But it was still interesting. So I think you're funny, Bridget. Remember the gift. Alright, we're going to see if she has any cards. She and Spirit. Anything else they want to say about this gift? Trying to think of my first volunteer job. My first volunteer job was when I was little. I was always a swimmer. I've always been a swimmer. And I think I was 12 years old. I had to be 12. And I volunteered to teach swimming lessons with the Red Cross at the local pool. I probably taught swimming lessons until I was like 25. Private, public. Let's see what else Bridget has to say. I love Bridget. She's sending me cards already. Anything else? Say Bridget. She sends me this card, Divine Light. This is the card where you're either walking to that light or you're walking away from that light. You're bringing the light back to people. Bring the gift back to people. Right? There were so many synchronicities today that I was just like, okay, I hear you, I see you, I get it. And I needed it. To be honest, I needed a boost. I've been kind of feeling in a little funk, about what do I have to get rid of, in my life. And Bridget's like, you don't have to get rid of anything. You just need to, organize the realm. You don't necessarily, you might have to give up this particular thing that you do, but you're going to do this instead, which kind of coordinates all of your time, and that'll be better. So, filled me with a little bit of hope. And it made me happy that this organization has been around since 1912. I never heard of it. Because they do their work quietly, and I'm a big believer in that. I always say, like, my job now, I still teach, but my job now, for the last couple of years here in New Jersey, I help faculty be good faculty, and I always say I'm the costume shop. And I love directing theater. I was an okay actress, but I love directing theater. I love seeing like it all put together, and I like to make other people look good. I hold no illusions that I'm going to win any kind of fashion contest, but if I can help you win a fashion contest, I'm all about that. Oh, I'm going to do 3 passes, see what Bridget has to say through these cards, my Celtic Spirit cards. I'm going to be linking a teenage new witch below. She has a new channel. Let's all go give her some love and respect. She's doing some cool things. Especially with arts and crafts, which is how I found her. But we should, support young people who are coming up to help them find a positive place in the world. So I'll link that below for you. All right, Bridget, one more pass. Anything you want? Okay. Bridget wants me to look at that card. And that one. Okay. Bridget, do you want me to do another pass because I wasn't paying attention? She said yes. She likes to play pranks. Somebody told me that yesterday. She's a prankster. Did I? This card came out. Maybe these. Maybe she wants all those. I don't know. Alright. I don't know if we were done shuffling or not. We're done now. Alright. This one flew out. What was this? Standing Stones. Ancestors, Gateway, and Sacred. Portal, Change, Gateway, and New Beginnings. Shaman Spiral, Awareness, Practice, and Connection. And these 3 popped out together. The Morgan, Rest, and Oak. Huh, interesting. Morgan is Power, Courage, and Strength. Oak is Doorway, Strength, and Journey. And then Rest is Stop, Recharge, Self-Care. So I think this triad is just reminding me that what I need for Julian is to be rested and courageous and strong. And the rest of these things, Standing Stones, Portal, and Shaman Spiral, are all about, the light and bringing the light back, bringing the gift back. The gift isn't mine to hold and hide. The gift is to give to other people. And I get that through ancestral connections. I get that through practicing, my beliefs and practicing the things that bring meaning. And, there's always a portal to something better. It's funny, I was supposed to go to a Standing Stones place, since I still may get to it if we get back in time on Saturday. And the stones themselves I like, and it's connected to Iona. It's a really cool thing. The people that are involved are a little bit, not all of them, so some of them are great. Some of them are fabulous. One of them watches this channel. And they're fabulous. And this woman who wrote the Walking Awake book, she's fabulous. Some of the people local, though, are very much about them. And I get frustrated when I'm there because I don't feel like the guy who created it for that. I feel like he created it to be these things. And it's funny, when I was in Scotland and on Iona, some of you have watched the channel a long time, know this story, but okay, so Iona is a 3-mile island off the coast of Scotland. It takes an entire day to get there and an entire day to get back to mainland, right? You have to take a ferry and a bus and a train and all this stuff, right? And it's where Columba sailed across the Irish Sea, probably because he got in trouble in Ireland, And they think there was a Druid college there, and then he worked with the Druids peacefully and converted the Druids to Christianity. And it's a liminal place, so it's a thin place, and it's a place where you can really connect with spirit, and you definitely feel that. The second you're on the island, you feel that. So we had stayed in an Airbnb. It was the only Airbnb that was available when I booked it, and I booked that Airbnb months out. And it was the only room on the entire island that was open and free. So we go to stay there, and it's beautiful. You know, it's overlooking. That's not the Irish Sea side, it's the other side. And you're overlooking, and it's just gorgeous. And the caretaker of the house is an older guy. Not older, maybe a little bit older than me. No, I don't want to say older. He wasn't older. An English fella. And we get talking, and I tell him, like, I was inspired by, I was inspired to come and blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, where are you from in Pennsylvania? And I said, I'm from Lehigh Gap and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, I used to know a guy who built this place called Columkeel. Have you heard of it? Honest to Pete, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Like, the synchronicity. I mean, this is a tiny island in the middle of nowhere. And this guy helped build this place that I was going to go to Saturday, that I go to pretty often, called Columkeel, that's local to me here in Bangor. He knew the guy who built it. I didn't know the man who built it. He passed away right before I moved back to Pennsylvania, so I never met him. But everything that I've read of his and sort of the stories I've heard about him, I feel like he and I really would have gotten along, because I feel like we really have the same sort of outlook on a lot of things when it comes to spirituality, Christianity, and the Celtic culture. So I'm like, you've got to be kidding. And the guy was really bitter. Like, this guy was really bitter, and he didn't like us, I think. Like, he brought pictures up to show me that he had been there. Him and his partner at the time, they had been there, and like that he knew Fred and all this stuff. And I was just like blown away. And I'm like, okay, spirit, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. And like, but the guy wasn't ready for it. His heart had hardened, but it was like a thing to me. I felt like from Fred. Oh, and Fred's ashes were right outside my window, like in the bay right there, like right out there. Like, that part of him was buried there, right outside my window, like directly outside my window. This guy that built Columkeel here. Like, it was so, like, I was so blown away. And I really just got this sense that I was connecting with Fred, who I didn't know. But I think Fred understands that, like, we believe the same things. And I got just really connected to, so then I go to the bookstore. I'm going to talk forever. Sorry, this is long. Get a snack. Pour yourself a cup of tea. So I go to the bookstore, and it's filled with amazing books. And I'm an English professor, so I love to read. So I'm like, never go to a bookstore with me if you're in a hurry, because we're not getting out of there in a hot second. We're gonna look, because I want to find the perfect book. I've learned not to buy every book, so I'm gonna buy the perfect book. So I'm looking at all the different books, and there's one card deck and book, like, really struck me. It had a beautiful picture on the front, and it was just this beautiful, like, it had a stone. It had this stone. The stone is from that book pack. I look at it, and I've never heard of the author, but it really resonated with me at the time. So I buy it, and I take it home, and I open the foreword. This woman, I couldn't even make this up if I tried. This woman came from Columkeel, the place where I live by. The author of this book was very involved with the Columkeel movement here in Bangor, Pennsylvania, in northeastern Bangor, Pennsylvania, in the mountains. And she wrote this book because she was inspired by this guy named Fred. Now, she knew Fred. I never met Fred. I never met him or his partner. They were both passed on before I came around. I believe in stuff like this. And then I see these cards, when I'm thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't go to that. Well, I probably have time to go to both, so I should make every attempt to go to both. I think that's what Fred is saying. Because I think Fred recognizes that it's moving away. A lot of what they're doing is moving away from what his intentions were. And it's very druidic in nature, and I think that Fred approves of. But there is this anti-Christian sort of vein that's going on there right now, which he would not approve of, because he built 2 chapels, and he was Celtic, spiritually Celtic like I am. He wasn't, I don't think, any religion or denomination at the end. He had been a minister, yeah, I think Presbyterian or one of those. But he, I think he was Celtically spiritual, but he definitely believed in Jesus, and he definitely believed in the Celtic spiritual Druid connection. Like, he definitely, like, I totally think he and I would have totally gotten along, because I feel like we see things the same way. And every once in a while, when I get cards like this, I think about Fred, and I think, all right, Fred, I heard you when I was in Scotland. I didn't forget about you. I just don't know how to make my way. It's a very tight-knit group of snooty people that run that place, and they're not willing to let new people in. And they're going to do it the way they're going to do it, and I don't know how to break into that, because I don't know any of them. I don't know a single person there. So I have no idea what to do. So Fred, you got to help me out. I know he just said in my head, then you need to get there. Yes, Fred, I'm aware. I will get there. I will figure out how to get there. Even if I'm late, I'll try to get there on Saturday. So, wow, going down the rabbit hole with BRG today. I am wishing you all the very best in light and love. Go live a full life. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.